That's why we did it by resolution, because it wasn't. Was it just today? I'm ready. Whenever you are.
Says it's 7 o'clock.
Oh, it's not?
Couple seconds. The October 9th agenda meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Here.
Councilman Farkas?
Here.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Here.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 present.
Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official Borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on February 20th, 2018. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by a salute to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, Thank you. On the agenda is items for discussion, change in meeting date, the second October meeting from October 22nd to October 29th at 7 p.m. Any member of the council have any problem with that?
I just wanted to make sure we notified of all the residents, and I sent an email previously.
Okay, next on the agenda, miscellaneous engineering items.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, a few items. First is an update on the public works site across the street. The work is progressing swiftly. The utility work is pretty much completed on the site up to the end of the driveway. The storm drainage work, the bulk of it is complete except for a couple of drainage structures. The site is graded to subgrade, and they're presently working on the grade separation structures around the site, assembling those. That's going to go on for several weeks. We do have a payment recommendation in on the bill list for the contractor, and that includes some adjustments to contract quantities, which do not affect the contract price for the project. With regard to the water tank project, the contractor has submitted all his contractual paperwork, the insurance and the bonds. We're basically processing that, and we're going to move the contracts onto the borough for execution, and we're coordinating with the various carriers with regard to the relocations of the utilities on the tank. With regard to the Wilson Avenue project, we have soil boring scheduled for October 23rd. Once we get those boring results in, and if they're favorable, we are going to be ready to bid that project. We anticipate contacting Gabriella shortly, probably before the end of the week, to set the bid schedule for that project.
Tremendous.
With one other thing that's going on is we have a utility, or I should say the borough has a utility location request in for the force main for a potential DOT project at the interchange with Route 1. The force main location is questionable up there, so we have a ground penetrating radar company coming in to assist the borough in attempting to locate the force main. They're going to be in on Thursday, and we're meeting out there with John Eckert to coordinate with them and try to get that done. We've contacted the county with regard to the Coulthall Avenue culvert project to get an update. They've informed us they're in the property acquisition phase, but they are having issues with the transcontinental pipeline on the East Brunswick side of the culvert. That is delaying the project, and the schedule right now is up in the air, but they said that could potentially be pushed back to 2020 at this point, as they go through these issues on the property acquisitions. And lastly, there was a meeting today with the contractor with regard to the demolition of the old substation structure, and that work is tentatively scheduled to begin in 2 to 3 weeks from Monday. That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for the engineer?
Yes, Lou,
Yes.
could you go in a little bit more detail about the force main topic that you were just on a couple of
Yeah,
minutes ago?
so your force main goes up Main Street and goes into North Brunswick and basically down George's Road in North Brunswick. So it crosses Route 1, but the actual location is not clear. So when you own a utility, you are responsible to mark out the utility when you get a utility mark-out request. So the borough got that request. There's no real good records on where that line sits over there. So the ground penetrating radar company, they have a way of doing ground penetrating radar that will hopefully locate the pipe, and we can get a fix on that location and then give that information back to the DOT.
And do you know who made that request?
John Eckert called us for some assistance. So we solicited a price and authorized it through administration, and we're moving forward with it. It's a couple $1,000s, I believe. It's not a heavy lift.
We should know where it is.
Yeah, we should.
All right,
It's
thank
good
you.
information to have.
Any other questions?
They don't have records of that from when they did the reconstruction of Route 1 back in the, what was it, 90s? The overpass?
No. Best we could find are schematics. They really don't have a
They
good
knew they were
location.
far enough away, and that was good enough for them at the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
What are they planning on doing?
We don't know. Right now, they're in the early stages, and there really is no plan. They're just starting with the base mapping and trying to get the utilities located.
Any other questions?
When you do take the substation down, it's, we talked about it at a previous meeting, it's just going down to the slab, the
Correct.
concrete slab. Will that ever be able to be used for anything, in your
Potentially,
opinion?
potentially. I don't think there's any use envisioned right now, but, you know, possibly.
So, but for what you'll see in a few weeks is it'll just go down to the slab, right?
Yep, yeah, the containment walls that are around the yard there are gonna remain, and the slab will remain.
Anyone else?
Just one more question, Lou, on the force main.
Yes.
Is there any plans to put any permanent markers in once we're done, so we don't have to do this again in the future?
I think at this point, we're probably gonna measure it and get a good location on where it is so that we can tie it down. I think markers could be put in, you know, it depends on where it's located. It could be in the middle of the street, we're not sure, so, depending on where it is, we can figure that out.
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, audience comments. I'd like to remind the audience that the questions at this point are in regards to anything discussed at the agenda only. With that, I will open up audience comments.
Lee Weisenberger, 99 JFK Drive. On the water tank, just curious. We heard before that some companies didn't answer the letters about the antennas.
That's
Has
correct.
everybody answered them, or,
We've had meetings out there with the 3 carriers.
so everybody has answered?
They're all well aware of the project.
Well, they're well aware of the project. Have they answered in the affirmative, they're gonna take down the antennas?
Well, they're all trying to figure out how to do it. There's one on the very top of the tank. He's gonna be able to basically raise the antenna and get out of the way. The other 2 that are on the shaft, they may go onto the scaffolding that the contractor puts up. They're all trying to figure out where they're gonna go at this point.
Okay, I'm just curious because, once again, you know, this project was gonna be going in September, it's not going. There's a window of opportunity, I assume, to paint the tank, so many weeks.
There is.
And bad weather, whatnot, gets pushed down the line, tank don't get painted.
The
Costs
window's,
more money,
the window's not closed yet, and
I understand that. Is there a penalty, monetary, to these guys if they don't get the stuff out of there
Well,
within a certain time?
the carriers aren't part of the tank painting contract. The contractor hired to do the painting is the has the contractual responsibility. So the answer is, under the tank painting contract, no, there is no penalty.
So, our town then should have in the contract with whoever puts an antenna up there, that they should get it out of there on time for whatever, or they should be penalized. Because like I said, if things don't go and then it gets delayed for whatever reason, like I said, weather, whatever, put off, cost goes up. Like I said, I don't know how the contract reads, and we're stuck paying that. I'm just trying to get a handle on this.
One of the, we actually spoke about this earlier before this meeting. We had a utility committee meeting to discuss some of the open items right now. And one of the issues is that when the contracts were first drafted with these carriers, it doesn't require them to move it. In fact, it could potentially require us to pay for them to move it or forego their rental fees for the time period on which it's moved off of our tower. So there's a certain level of playing nice. At this time, it wouldn't negatively impact the tank painting other than delay time, rather than us forego the income on the rental of the tank for those antennas, which can add up quickly. So we're trying to not lose money on it while still getting the project done.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close audience comments. I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Dixon, seconded by Councilwoman Kerber. We adjourn. It's non-debatable. We are adjourned. We will begin the next meeting in about 60 seconds. The October 9th, 2018 regular meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Present.
Councilman Farkas?
Here.
Councilman Kerber?
Present.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, forwarding of a copy of the same to the official Borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger publishing companies on February 20th, 2018. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by a salute to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have comments, audience comments and questions on resolutions and bills and claims that are listed on the agenda. If you have any comments or questions, please use the microphone in the center of the room. State your name and address for the record when recognized. Remember, comments and questions are limited to the resolutions and bills and claims listed on the agenda. With that, I will open audience comments. Seeing none, I will close audience comments. Next on the agenda is bills and claims. Will the clerk please read Resolution 18-260 by title?
Authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $2,736,589.02.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Kerber, seconded by Council President Dixon, that the resolution is adopted. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Okay, next we have reports of standing committees and introduction of resolutions. A consent resolution has been prepared to cover the 9 resolutions listed on this evening's agenda. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number and it will be pulled from the consent resolution.
Yes, 18270.
Any others? Okay, with that, will the clerk please read the consent resolution?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting, and whereas the Borough Clerk has posted a consent agenda for this meeting. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the consent agenda previously prepared by the Borough Clerk be approved without the necessity of having individual resolutions read by the Borough Clerk.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Revelinsky, seconded by Councilman Gotti, that the resolution is adopted. Is there any discussion? Oh, there is no discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Will the clerk please read Resolution 18-270 by title, please?
Capital Budget Amendment Number 2.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
I have a motion by Council President Dixon, seconded by Councilwoman Kerber, that the resolution is adopted. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Can you explain where the funds are coming from for these 2 ordinances?
The one ordinance is coming from the electric and water capital surplus or capital fund balance. The various electric improvements of $125,000 is coming from a settlement with the town.
What is the fund balance in the water right now?
I believe it's at 80,000. I think this leaves roughly 60,000.
Okay, I just, why are we buying radios out of the water fund balance when we had a 30% rate increase this year to replenish that account. Now we're spending money out of that account? I'm not following why we're doing this.
The radios are for Public Works and the utilities. So we're splitting the cost between the three funds.
Okay, and
Current fund, the electric utility, and the water utility.
so what's going on now? Why do we need new radios? This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Okay, I can't answer why we need the radios. My understanding is that there's areas of town that Public Works and the utility, there is no radio reception, and that the radios, the system for the Public Works and utilities is antiquated.
Okay, so the $40,000 is for radios, or is for antennas, or to increase the reception?
It's for replacement of the radio system, so it is for a station, base station, for radios and handhelds also.
Mr. Barr, what's the, 40,000 is coming out of our both utility surpluses. Is that the total amount for these radios?
No, the total amount is about 110,000.
And we're getting the rest of that money from?
Existing capital ordinances.
I totally appreciate the initiative of going through an old capital ordinance and getting, most of that money, but if we're gonna raise utility rates on residents and we haven't even replenished why we raise their rates, I can't see how we can take money out of there. We haven't even replenished what we've, raised their rates for, and now we're taking money out of there. I understand that the utility department's gonna be using the radios, but,
Well, we are talking two different funds. We're talking the water utility capital fund as opposed to the water utility fund. The water utility fund is the fund that raises rates. The capital is for capital purchases within the utility. Now, I understand what you're saying is that, we did raise the rates, and why would we spend anything out of the water utility, whether it's capital or utility? I understand that.
all right, what's the fund balance of both of those?
And
Water utility,
I could just tell you at the end of the year, I don't have those numbers on the top of my head.
That's fine.
and is that money transferable between those two funds?
You can utilize capital surplus in the regular utility budget as a revenue.
Water's supposed to stay with water here in Milltown. We passed an ordinance on that years ago.
I think he's talking about capital surplus, meaning money within the utility department budget already for procurement of equipment, materials, and improvements can be utilized within the utility department, and we're not taking out of water to fund Parks and Recreation. It's staying within the designated department already.
Right, and that's based on your resolution. The state law does allow you to use utility surpluses in your current budget. You have not here used water surplus to bring over to either capital or regular water utility and bring over to the current fund to offset anything. It, like you said, has stayed with the utility.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
So just so the people listening and watching know, how many radios are we purchasing for this amount? And if somebody who's requested it could speak to that? Not you, Mr. Barr, you didn't request it. Whose department is requisitioning these?
Well, I can vouch.
I know it's to replace all the radios.
How many is that?
I also know that it's a safety issue. There's places in this town that they cannot communicate with each other. And when they open up the roads or the sidewalks, and a man is in there and it collapses around them, they have no way to even call for help if that should happen. If they're out garbage collecting and they see a motor vehicle accident or a child hit by a car, there's areas of this town they cannot call the police or the first aid squad in. It's a safety issue, as well as we put up with these radios for way too long. The parts are not available anymore. The antennas are not available anymore. The person that we are contracted with to do service is telling us they themselves cannot get the parts. And I believe, Randy, you've been informed of that, as I've been informed of that on several occasions, and that's why we've moved forward the way we have in procuring for that money, for the safety issue of this town, and for the benefit of this town.
And if you'll recall back to the budget discussions that we had early on in the year when we sat in finance, initially they wanted the full $100,000 to fund a replacement across the board, and we said, well, there's a handful that are not working at all, and to replace those would be very impractical. So maybe we could get away with replacing half and using the remainder to keep DPW and utilities working. But I guess the cost to even maintain the system at this point, I know a few weeks later, the antenna had died off on us, so it's, might as well get them all now.
I wasn't asking that, I was asking how many radios are we getting? Is it 10? Is it
I think
100?
it's 25 or 30, I thought, was the overall number.
Just so curious as to, you know, the cost of, you know,
Yeah,
or how much we're getting for that $100,000.
yeah. They're expensive units.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah.
And batteries, you know, keeping them up.
That's all I was asking, just how many?
They're pretty worn radios. I mean, they have to constantly, you know, squeeze a button 3 or 4 times. They give up, they use their cell phones, they call from the office sometimes to reach out to the staff out in the field on their own cell phones. So the radios are past their time. It's time to upgrade.
Any other discussion?
Just so I'm clear on this, so this is gonna solve this problem. So there will not be any more dead spots in Milltown. We spend $110,000 on these radios. There will be no more dead spots in Milltown. From one side of town to the other, there will be clear communication. Because I heard this about 7 years ago. I heard from I don't know if it's the same vendor, but the vendor that was here promised that this was gonna solve all our communication problems. And guess what? It didn't solve. So I just want to be sure that someone has looked into this and has gotten a guarantee that this is going to solve all the problems that Council President Dixon laid out, the safety issues.
That's what I'm being told.
Okay.
Will the clerk please call roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Okay, next we'll hear the report of the Department of Finance, Administration, and Planning, chaired by Council President Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a very brief report tonight. We will be setting up, Councilwoman Mayor, we will be setting up a finance meeting before the next meeting. I just don't know the exact date yet, but
Well,
will be before.
then you can include me out because I won't be here. I'm gonna be on vacation for 2 weeks, so go ahead and have
That
it.
week, I'm trying to do it maybe even before the meeting.
The 29th? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gone from
Oh.
the next 2 weeks, so that's all right.
So, but you should be back on the 29th, no?
I'll be on the 29th, yeah. That night I can do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
we will
coming
be
back
trying
on
to
the
set up a
28th.
finance
No,
meeting.
I think he's saying to have it before the council meeting.
Right,
on
oh,
that
okay.
date,
Oh,
on the
sorry.
29th.
Yeah, okay,
So
good.
you'll be back for that?
Perfect.
That's what I was looking at.
Yep, sorry. I misunderstood. Yes, I will be back.
So, Mr. Barr, would that be okay with you? Do it the 29th,
Yeah,
One
what time? What time?
6 o'clock? Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
6 o'clock, right?
Sure.
6 o'clock that evening?
Yep.
Before the council meeting. That should give us enough time?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. That's number one, my report. Number two, I've gone over the reports on the electric, water, and sewer. And to summarize, the electric, there are 23 businesses that are in arrears. There are 242 residents in arrears, totaling $97,458.79. Water and sewer, there is a total of 215 residents in arrears, 9 business commercials in arrear, for a total of $89,181.02. Total of the water, sewer, and electric that the borough is currently outstanding is $186,639.81. And delinquent notices went out the beginning of this week, and the Finance Department plans on getting a lot of that money in. Right now, we have several businesses that are really getting high, and they will be the first ones that everything will be going out to, and we'll do the attempting to collect the arrears money. I apologize, I do not have a report for across the street or Ford Avenue, as gentleman personal issue where he was not in today, so I did not get the report. So I will have one for the next meeting, though, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And that's my report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Public Safety, chaired by Councilman Nicholas Legati.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Milltown Fire Department month-end report for September 2018. Total number of calls, 10. Total number of training details, 2. Total number of work details, 4. Total number of meeting details, 1. Total number of miscellaneous details, 5. Total incidents, 22. The Milltown Fire Department is always looking for new members. Please stop by either Firehouse on Mondays between 6:30 and 7:30, or go to our website, milltownfire.org. The Fire Department regrets to announce that exempt member Lenny Alexi has passed away. Lenny was a 20-year member of Hose Company and driver. Delegates and life members of the Milltown Fire Relief Association attended the annual New Jersey State Firemen's Convention and Memorial Service in Wildwood. The department drilled on foam operations and home heating responses. General maintenance was performed around both houses. Items for winterizing Main Street Firehouse was discussed with Public Works Supervisor. All monthly calibrations and equipment checks were performed. That concludes the Fire Department report. The Milltown Police Department monthly report. Between September 12, 2018 and October 3rd, 2018, police have answered 1,057 calls for service. This number includes, but is not limited to 911 and medical calls, traffic incidents, community outreach, walk-in reports, and public contacts. Police conducted a total of 302 motor vehicle stops, which included special traffic details, including cell phone, crosswalk, and seatbelt violations. 59 radar details and other traffic enforcement details were conducted in various locations during this period. Police responded to 17 motor vehicle accidents and made 12 arrests, which include shoplifting, distribution of marijuana, DWI, theft, and warrant arrests. Milltown Police have been and continue conducting and hosting active shooter training at 133 South Main Street so residents may continue to see increased activity. Due to our proactive approach to drunk driving enforcement, Milltown Police have applied for and have been awarded a grant in the amount of $7,900 from the Division of New Jersey Law and Public Safety for drunk driving enforcement. These monies are used fund the DWI patrols and the DWI related trainings. Milltown Police Department offers continued and maintain all mandated training requirements, and we continue to train and practice at the highest standards in law enforcement. Residents may have noticed a change in parking and traffic around schools. The Milltown Police Department is working closely with the schools to establish safe parking and drop-off. Please continue to drive safely and obey the traffic signs and laws. Police will continue strict enforcement of traffic laws, including speeding, cell phone use, and pedestrians in crosswalks. The Milltown Police Department encourages residents to remain vigilant by calling and reporting any suspicious activity and traffic concerns to the Milltown Police Department at 732-828-1100. Milltown Police Department is currently accepting applications for part-time public safety telecommunicators and crossing guards. Information is available through the police department and is posted within Borough Hall. Chief Brian Kennelly. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Utilities, chaired by Councilman Rich Revelinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the month of September, the Utility Department had the following work: 50 daily station checks, 30 substation checks, and 81 utility markouts. Water samples for the disinfectant residual testing was performed on September 5th, 12th, and 19th. All testing was found to be within the acceptable parameters. Line clearance was performed for various trees in locations of the borough and in the right-of-way. And for the electric utility, 19 streetlights were repaired. And talking to some residents this weekend, I know that there's several more that are out there that need to be repaired. So we are on it. Various electric meters were replaced, and work continued on replacing broken or decayed utility poles throughout the borough. Several after-hour power outages were restored with minimal disturbance to residents, and the utility department assisted South River Electric in setting a pole hit by a vehicle. A new utility truck was delivered to replace an aging vehicle in the fleet. It is outfitted with a small jib crane, which will be a time saver for both electrical and water crews. The water department. Numerous broken water meters were replaced throughout the borough. Curb stops were located for various customers. Attention, attention, attention. Hydrant flushing will begin October 20th. The process starts with a thorough flushing of the transmission line from New Brunswick to Milltown. This occurs Saturday morning, October 20th, and finishes up around noon. Flushing of hydrants starts at 11 p.m. that night and happens every night until completion. During times of flushing, some harmless discoloration may occur. It is temporary. We perform flushing to remove naturally occurring sediments from the piping system. Hydrants are open to create a heavy flow of water to dislodge sediment and flush it out of the hydrants. Regular flushing is essential to maintain water quality. So that begins October 20th, and folks, you might want to just run your water a little bit in the morning to make sure it's nice and clean before you get going with baths or washing dishes or your white laundry, or even pouring yourself a cup of water in the morning, just to make sure that any flushing hasn't created some sediment in your lines. For the sewer department, a 250 horsepower variable frequency drive was installed to replace a broken unit which was unserviceable at the Church Street pump station. The new unit is more efficient than the unit it replaced, saving energy costs. Several sections of sewer were professionally cleaned as part of an ongoing maintenance program, and several sections were also inspected by TV camera. Metering. As always, the utility department works hand in hand with the billing department to ensure accurate utility charges. We troubleshoot faulty meters and work very hard to resolve any billing issues that occur. A reminder to residents, if you have water, sewer, or electric emergency, you can call the Milltown Police Dispatch at 732-828-2100, extension 0 for service at any time. For non-emergency situations, like reporting a street light out or a leaking fire hydrant, you can call the utility office at 732-828-2100, extension 137. If you have any questions about the water or electric service on your water or electric bill, please call 732-828-2100, extension 183. So 183 for billing questions, 137 for utility issues, and 0 for emergencies. While I'm at it, that concludes the formal report. However, I'd like to just mention, folks, I've talked to several residents regarding the water rates. And one thing to take note is that if you have a bill that says estimated on there, estimated reading, I highly recommend you call 732-828-2100, extension 183. The reason for that is you want to get someone in to document what your meter reads. Okay? When rates fluctuate, and we've been doing an estimated reading for 2, 3, 4 years, you might wind up getting a new bill that is higher than you would anticipate because it's an estimated reading. Higher or lower, but we're trying to ensure some accuracy. Our goal over the next couple months is going to be replace any meters in town that don't have the digital pad outside. There's approximately 263 of these throughout the borough. That'll expedite both the billing process down here at Borough Hall as well as the time it takes our field crews to read the meters. Speaking of rates, I did want to say that while it may seem not like a success to most residents, it's a good news for us financially that over the first 3 months of billing at the new rates, we've generated approximately $239,000 more than would have been billed at last year's rates for the same amount of consumption. The reason I'm bringing that up is because, as you recall, we had a $300,000 shortfall in our budget this year and $100,000 from the prior year, making it a $400,000 net that we're trying to make up for every year. So out of 3 months, $239,000, and that doesn't include several sections of town billing for August, which thankfully we had a lot of rain. Hopefully that means we're on the right path here, and that next year we can start reevaluating those funds to see what improvement projects we can do throughout the borough. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Public Works and Recycling, chaired by Councilwoman Dorian Kerber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Along with curbside collections, the Department of Public Works has the following report. Street repairs have been taking place on Richter and Lincoln Avenue. Street sign repair and replacement have taken place in various locations and, of course, will be ongoing. Tree removal has taken place at Janet Court, Herbert Avenue, Albert Avenue, and Hill Street. Dangerous branch removal has taken place at Albert Avenue Park, Hill Street, and Desmet. Line painting has taken place at Washington Avenue, Riva Avenue, and other locations around town. The soccer field at Albert Avenue has been painted for the fall soccer season. The baseball fields at Borough Park and Michelin Field have been prepped and are being maintained for the fall baseball season. The poolside slide has been covered for the winter season. The Milltown Park path has been trimmed back and cleared of any overhanging branches in preparation for this year's Haunted River Walk. Bradford Park has been prepped for Milltown Day. The DPW was excited to have so many visitors stop by their table at Milltown Day for those free giveaways, informational literature, and answers to any questions they had. Public Works has a new building installed behind the Senior Center. This will house our leaf bags and recycled electronics soon. We would like to thank the Middlesex County Recycling Enhancement Grant, which paid 100% of this project. DPW Supervisor and Secretary attended the training for the new website. Leaf bags are available at Borough Hall. Reminder this week is concrete collection. Please call 732-828-2100, extension 187 for a collection. Please check channel 15 for DPW updates. Central Garage for the service police cars, service truck 94, service truck 99, replace hydraulic pump and pulley belt on sweeper, replace alternator and battery on Fire Chief Car 82, replace exhaust manifold gasket on Fire Chief Car 81, service rack body, replace intercooler pipe truck number 13, replace all brake lines on code enforcement truck 20, replace battery switch truck 91, and replace fuel filters truck 92. In addition, Saturday, October 13th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Until the shredding truck is filled. It's going to be held, rain or shine, is our annual paper shred program. Maximum of 5 file boxes, 100 pounds per car. And this is only for county residents only. I mean, it goes pretty fast, so better get down here and get it in the truck. I know usually before 12 noon it's ready to go. So just come down, it's usually at the American Legion. I'm assuming that's where we're going to be. Yes, 4J Kennedy Drive in Milltown, in the parking lot. In addition, I did go to the East Brunswick Day, and one of the Girl Scouts now have formed at South River, East Brunswick, and Milltown. So there is a Make a Change a Diaper project, and they are collecting for diapers. So they're looking for donations, and you can drop off at 562 Riders Lane in East Brunswick, or you can go to a website, and if it's possible, Mayor, can we post this on Channel 15?
Absolutely.
Okay. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, is it, when you say the leaf bags are available, is that inside or outside?
That's usually outside. Yeah, they used to put
Do
it
they
inside
put
the
'em in
building,
that
but now they put them
trailer?
outside by the trailer.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we will hear from the Department of Environmental Health and Social Services, chaired by Councilwoman Trina Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick report on the Environmental Commission meeting. We changed our time, and it was just basically in preparation for Milltown Day, and the Environmental Commission representatives also attended the Raritan River Festival, so they were kind enough to invite some people from the New Brunswick Water Authority to Milltown Day to answer residents' questions, so we appreciate that. On another note, the flu shot clinic was held at the senior center last week. However, there is information outside and on the website. If you missed that, there's going to be another one in North Brunswick, or there's ongoing in New Brunswick and Woodbridge, so you can find that on the website. And the last thing I was going to say is the Schwendeman Nature Center Committee met after our last meeting when we okayed the go-ahead to start doing some improvements on it. So we met to go over the plans for the improvement, and they will be coordinating with the head of DPW to start winterizing and doing the list of plans for the Schwendeman property. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Recreation, chaired by Councilman Randy Farkas.
Thank you. Along with daily operations of deposits, registration forms, purchasing requests for recreation and SAC, developing fall and winter trips, programs, sports and activities, the Recreation Department also has the following. SAC reminders. School year SAC has begun. As a reminder, there is no SAC when schools are closed. On school half days, PM SAC operates until 6 p.m. As a reminder, all SAC payments are due monthly. If your account is not up to date, you need to submit payments so that your child care is not interrupted. SAC does not bill. It is the parent's responsibility to know what they owe monthly. If you are unsure, you may contact us, but your accountability helps us greatly. If you are not certain of the Milltown SAC policies and procedures, please refer to your parent's handbook for clarity. Your child's safety, well-being, and being happy while in our program is of the utmost importance. We are now accepting employment applications for adult SAC aides. If you know of someone that is looking for a part-time job and loves children, this is a great job for you. Please go online or pick up an application at Borough Hall. Recreation information. Youth basketball registration forms are now available. The deadline for registration is November 30th. There will be a 5th through 8th grade players assessment in early December. We will update parents via email through registration forms. Please be sure to print your information clearly and neatly so that there is no interruption in communication. We will be set to start in January. Tennis rain makeups will be held at the end of the session. Your child's coach will inform you. For rainouts, please visit the U.S. Sports Academy website. Recreation and SAC, together with the Milltown PTA, will be hosting a trunk or treat on Sunday, October 28th at Borough Park, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. There is also a pumpkin decorating contest as well for prizes. To register your car, please contact the PTA at Parkview PTA Social Committee, all one word, at yahoo.com. Candy donations are being accepted at Parkview School, both SAC sites, and the Recreation Department. We ask everyone to please bring a donation of non-perishable food to the event for the County Food Bank. There is an MC Foods Middlesex County Food Bank fundraiser on Tuesday, October 16th at Houlihan's in New Brunswick. Our county food bank is in dire need of donations. Please see the Recreation Department for a flyer that must be presented at the event. Thank you for everyone for your support in supporting our neighbors. As a reminder, there are collection bins in the front hallway of the Borough building for food donations. Trips and events. Recreation is offering trips to the following. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Thursday, November 22nd. Bus transportation only, on your own to watch the parade, $30 per person. Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular, November 24th, 2 p.m. matinee. Tickets are $105. Bryant Park Winter Village, Saturday, December 8th. Day in the city to sightsee, eat, and shop, $30 per person. Christmas is in the air. Hunterdon Hills Playhouse, Thursday, December 20th. Matinee show, $95 per ticket, includes bus, sit-down luncheon, dessert, and gratuity. The Lion King on Broadway, Sunday, January 20th. Tickets are $165 each. Frozen on Broadway, Sunday, February 17th. Matinee show. Tickets are $180 each. Please note all trip prices include round-trip bus transportation from Milltown Borough. And lastly, the Recreation Committee will meet on Wednesday, October 17th at 7 p.m. And that concludes the Recreation report.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is introduction of ordinances. Tonight we have two. Will the clerk please read ordinance number 18-1465 by title?
Ordinance providing for various improvements in and by the Borough of Milltown and the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and appropriating $125,000, therefore, from the reserve for the electrical system capital improvements.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the ordinance. What is your pleasure?
Move that this ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be held at our next regularly scheduled council meeting on October 29th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
I second.
I have a motion by Council President Dixon, seconded by Councilwoman Kerber, that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be held at our next regularly scheduled council meeting on October 29th, 2018, 7 p.m. at Borough Hall. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just a little more detail on what this $125,000 is going to be used for?
This is the same as was done for the budget transfer earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
trees.
You told me where you got it from, but what's it used for now?
The radios.
No, this
No.
is
Oh, this
Tree
is,
removal.
I'm sorry, this is for the trees?
This is
Okay.
the trees.
Good question.
So this is for trees?
This is for tree trimming, removal in cases, for the electric utility. The money comes from, as I said before, from a settlement that the borough has.
I'm very happy to see that we're addressing some of the tree problems, but if I'm correct, this is for both tree lists combined, the utility list and then the shade tree list, which is a very large list, as we all know. I think $125,000 is a nice appropriation to it, but by no means does it fix the problem. It's not going to take care of all the trees on that list. So I think that we should have a long-term plan on what we're going to do after we throw $125,000 at it, because, you know, I'm sure Councilwoman Kerber can turn around and say to me the same thing. Nick, you're very well aware that that list is going to be, it grows every year. So if we don't have a long-term plan on what we're going to do, rather than just throw $125,000 at it, it really is for nothing. So we really should have some kind of a long-term plan where the utility department, public works can work together. I know when I had it, you know, Ralph Jesnowski was very willing to do whatever he could, and, you know, the utility department at the time was stressed for, you know, some workers, and it really didn't take off, but I think that's a very good start for a long-term plan, that those two departments can work in the future to try and get some of those additional trees down. But I think $125,000 is a great start for that list, but please, you know, let's be wary that that list is going to grow, and we have to have a long-term plan for it.
Absolutely, we do intend to do so after we get through this first run. In addition, Ralph Jesnowski has been going around, removing some trees already that are on the list to try and get ahead of this, because we still have to have a second reading before we go and proceed. We are going to have a schedule of trees. We're not going to have like every street blocked off. It's going to be done strategically so that, you know, we do have less traffic issues, and coordinate that with the police too in the areas that we're going to work in. So we definitely, this is a start. There is a plan, and going forth, you know, the Public Works Supervisor will be handling this request.
Kind of hoping that we work this list from people that have been on it since 2006 get first crack at it?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the dead trees, of
Yeah,
course.
I agree.
Those.
Those are dangerous. We got to get them down too.
Anyone else? Will the clerk call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Okay, will the clerk please read ordinance number 18-1466 by title only, please?
Ordinance providing for various improvements in and by the Borough of Milltown in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and appropriating $40,000 therefore from water and sewer utility capital fund balance and the electric utility capital fund balance.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this ordinance. What is your pleasure?
I move that this ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be held at our next regularly scheduled council meeting on October 29th at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
I second.
I have a motion by Councilman Revelinsky, seconded by Councilwoman Kerber, that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be held at our next regularly scheduled council meeting, October 29th, 2018, 7 p.m. at Borough Hall. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Is there any old business to come before the council this evening?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Complete Streets meeting is this Thursday morning, 10 to 12, and we would do a site visit at Ford and Main Street, as well as Church and Main Street. We've added United Way, Jewish Family Services, the church, United Methodist Church, as well as the school district will be participating. And I do have some ideas that I will be presenting. I actually had to go to Greenbrook to pick up the Anjek display. And as I went the back way, at the Bound Library, they did a fantastic like traffic calming design right on the roadway. On the one side, when you cross the one street, they had a ruler, so they painted, you know, usually you see the white lines and it's open, but they had put numbers to make it like a ruler, and they painted it yellow. The other, going across from the other side to left side, they had painted it different books with books' names. So, I mean, it does really work. Having things, if that's what we accomplish, I'm not quite sure, additional signage, whatever it may be that the recommendations will be, but that I will be showing that to the team as a way of thinking of other ways that we can have that intersection at both as an additional calming traffic. Because a lot of people do stop when they see things in the roadway. It does work with the experts, the various workshops I've gone to through the leagues or ANJAC or Sustainable Jersey. They do seem to be working.
Any other old business?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I would really, I'd really like to know where we stand on getting a permanent business administrator and CFO. Currently, Mr. Barr is our CFO and business administrator. I'd like to know where we stand on if there's recommendations, if any advertisement has been made, what is the holdup, or what are we waiting for at this particular point in time?
If I can answer that, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
This is the reason we're setting this meeting up on the 29th. Mr. Barr asked for this meeting. He told me that was part of the agenda of that meeting, to discuss advertising, hiring a permanent CFO and BA. So after that meeting, I should be able to answer it better. But right now, the meeting is scheduled again for the 29th, 6 p.m. prior to our next meeting.
Okay. Did quite a while, but that's fine.
Any other old business?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I understand that there are issues with the website. I spoke to the clerk about it. We are aware. Apparently, it's not on everything, but some devices it is not available, and we are addressing that with the technical people. On a brighter note, the new website will be rolled out by the end of October. So we can look forward to that.
Good news.
Yes, it's exciting, and we're looking forward to hearing back from everyone, you know, what they think, if there's something else that we missed. The clerk provided training to all of the department heads, and we have a couple of little issues to work out, and but it should be done by the end of the month. So we're looking forward to that.
Very good.
Secondly, I wanted to ask, you know, we've talked about doing strategic planning for the town a couple times, Mr. Mayor, and you and I were in agreement with that. But we haven't really done anything, so I'm again going to volunteer to spearhead that if we can't get it going. I actually printed out, and I'll give it to all the council, or leave some for the public, a really nice article from the New Jersey League of Municipalities about the benefit of towns having a strategic plan. So we've been talking about putting it on the calendar. So with your okay, I mean, I understand that it would normally be Council President Dixon, but if he would defer, I would start setting up a kickoff to start getting people in here, because as it says in here, to do a strategic plan, you need to address where you are now, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. So I asked in June, we put it off till the summer, we talked about it at the last meeting. Is that something that we could get going on?
Yes.
So with your blessing, I can move ahead with that?
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other old business?
No, I'm just curious, when you say bringing people in, what do you mean, like?
Stakeholders, the public.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you meant like people from Rutgers or other state
Not yet. I
agencies, or-
think the first step would be to do like a kickoff meeting to bring in, you know, whoever is really interested in a certain topic, and then we can, you know, put it out. We can do a survey or something like that to the public, and then sort of try and narrow it down into main areas that we can then tackle as the council. But I think the first thing is just to, you know, see what we're looking at now and where we, as a town or as residents, we want to be 5 years, 10 years from now, and get input, and then see how we want to go about planning for that.
Okay.
I'll give you the article, and you know, and then I'll actually do some more homework on how to set up the strategic plan and how to go through the whole process. There's a templates online, so we can all work together on that as well.
Yep.
But I just wanted to just put something on, so maybe in November sometime we can have like a kickoff meeting. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least we're heading in the right direction.
Sounds great.
And will this include the department heads? I mean, I would think so, because they would have, you know, offer
Yeah, well,
some
they
input
work
as
here,
well.
yes, so in other words, they work here anyway, so they're gonna do, you know, whatever needs to be done. But what we're doing is trying to say, okay, this is, let's just for an example say, these are the 3 issues that people really feel strongly about. So say, just for instance, say if crime, people were really worried about crime, then obviously we'd bring Brian Kennelly in and he would be on that committee. If it was issues with garbage, then it would be to bring Ralph in to address that. So, but at first, it's just to address what we see as the challenges that Milltown is facing now, and where we want to be and where we're going with that. So the department heads will obviously eventually be in, but it's more for the council to say, okay, if we're doing this strategic plan, where do the resources need to be funneled over the next 10 years?
And of course, our CFO would be part of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other old business? Seeing none, any new business to come before the council this evening?
Mr. Mayor, yes, the Milltown Chamber of Commerce is also doing an October food drive. We have been at the Dolce snack area. I'm sorry, the Milltown Pharmacy it is. There's several locations throughout, so if you wanted to not drive all the way down here, you happen to be purchasing in a specific store, some of the bins are out there. Paula Sagan across the street at the doctor's office. They've been so wonderful with their collections. But I will have it listed and posted down here so that you know where to go. I'll put it on the table. We'll put it on Channel 15, so you have that list of information as well. In case you happen to be shopping in an area, just want to drop it into the local businesses instead of running down here at Borough Hall.
Any other new business? Seeing none, audience comments. Please state your name and address for the record. For that, I will open audience comments.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Alan Godber, 4 Fern Place, Environmental Commission and Lawrenceburg Watershed Partnership. First, there were some comments made about the water utility coming on Saturday at Milltown Day, and I appreciate Council supporting that. We were just kind of lucky at seeing them at the Rat River Festival. I spoke to the people who were running it afterwards and said what did they think about how it worked, and they were very excited and said they'd had some very good discussions with a number of people in town and they'd love to come again next year. So hopefully the discussion was useful. They brought some extensive equipment to show how they do filtering and such. Second, I wanted to say something about issues of safety. I think I may have mentioned, I don't know that I haven't mentioned at a council meeting before, it concerns me sometimes when I see people walking down some of the local streets, often in the dark, and sometimes 2 abreast, and sometimes with baby carriage or whatever. In the dark, I mean in the daytime, probably okay, but at night, that can be scary. But recently, I've seen three times now, and twice right here at Washington Avenue, Main Street Junction. Kids about 6 or 7 years old, I don't know exactly how old, maybe something like that, on scooters. One time it was in the daylight with a tricycle, but twice now at those junctions there in the dark with, of course, no lights on the bike. And the last one was right this evening as I was coming here. There was a kid just crossing over Washington Avenue. Could have been run down very easily. And I'm wondering, I mean, I used to do that kind of thing when I was 3 or 4 years old in the UK, but we didn't go across a main street. We were in little local roads, and there wasn't as much traffic in those days. But what can we do to protect people? I mean, don't want to have horrible regulations and tell people they can't go out and the kids can't do this and that. But it seems to me this is happening more and more. And I read reports in newspapers about kids kind of playing around with games and going up against cars and bunches of them as if it's a fun game, and taking risks of having accidents with the car. I don't know whether anybody's got any ideas of how we can help the public.
Nick, you want to take that to the chief?
Yes, I will, sir.
Thank you. The third issue is the Lawrenceburg Watershed Partnership. We have a meeting, and hopefully this meeting will go okay. Last month's meeting, the gentleman who's coming to speak was stuck in Florida when the storm came and they never made it. But Dr. Kevin Lyons, I heard him speak in East Brunswick back in the spring. And it's taken 6 months to get him to come and speak. He's in the business department at Rutgers Newark. But his research that has been done over a number of years is to do with cities like Newark, New Brunswick, other places where there's a high concentration of people, improving the quality of life for everybody in those towns and cities, and at the same time improving the environment, and trying to match all those things together and get it to be done at an affordable cost. So that's why he's in the business department. So he's coming to speak at our meeting next Tuesday. And he offered about 6 different topics, so he goes to all kinds of places. He's been to Africa and such. Anyway, he's going to come and talk about Puerto Rico, about how to do a long-term plan to deal with emergencies and how to make sure people's quality of life is kept as high as possible and to deal with those issues on a long-term basis. And then I asked him to make sure that he could relate that to what we can do locally, what we can do in our towns here in New Jersey. So please come join us, 7 p.m. We will be providing some free food. It's a dinner meeting we do once a year. 7 p.m. next Tuesday, the 16th.
Okay. Where's that at, Alan?
I'm sorry?
At the senior center?
Oh, I'm sorry, at the senior center.
Okay.
Yes, senior
Very good.
center.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you for giving us first. My problem is not too much, but problem.
If I can please get your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Erin Wasif, 143 Washington Avenue. About bill water. Last bill is like 150 something. That's bill 250 something. It means double. When I asked, they told me okay, because the rule, if you use water more than balance 160, 30% more. I don't know why. Anyway, I don't use water for in kitchen.
Right.
Everything I buy from Walmart, big bottle. So it's like I spent money more than 300. Is that normal?
Right, well, you know what I could do? If you want to wait, as soon as the meeting's over, Councilman Revelinsky, he spoke earlier to that situation where I think in the past they've been doing some, the billing hasn't been actual readings.
Oh, it's been estimated.
It's been
billing.
estimated?
So it's something that we can discuss after the meeting about your specific bill, but.
Okay, thank
If you can wait around a few minutes after the meeting, Councilman Revelinsky will
Thank you.
be able to get more in depth with you about it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yes, sir, I think you had your hand up?
I don't like to talk in front of people. My name is Ciro, last name is M-U-S-C-I-O, M-U-C-O. I live at 29 Harkins Road. I'm a Milltown resident for 30 years. My comment tonight's about the water bill. I know it's a hot topic. I understand, and I'm not here to cause a problem, but I got a pretty substantial water bill. It was $1,600. I understand the reason that I got it to use, and I understand all that, but my question is, in the foreseeable future, is that price ever going to come down, or is it going to forever be, you know, the high rate that it is? That's my...
You ask a very difficult question.
I understand.
And the reason being that, you know, it wasn't raised on a whim. It was raised to cover costs. But we also have a lot of projects to do, so we're one of the things I mentioned earlier is that if you look at what we billed this year and used last year's rates for it, so same amount of consumption, in the past 3 months, we're up about $239,000, making our way to a $400,000 gap, right? Trying to close that gap. So after that, we need to evaluate what funds are available for increases in our costs. We typically face a 5% annual increase from the city of New Brunswick on purchase costs. So I can't say definitely they'll go down, but we are doing everything we can to make sure that it's...
So there's hope.
There's hope. There's hope. We're trying.
I can't ask for more than that. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Musia. Yes, sir.
John Collins, 39 South Brook Avenue. Drive. Somewhere else. I was thinking about the Shade Tree Commission. You have the $125,000. Is there any money in there to grind the stumps down in Albert Avenue Park? There's like 8 stumps there, and that is a tripping hazard for the kids.
I'm sure Ralph will be doing that with
Will be
this
doing that
budget.
too?
Of course.
Because they've been there for a long time.
Well, see, they can only cut trees down. We don't have a stump grinder. That's why.
We don't have a stump grinder?
No. So we have to outsource that.
Oh,
And he's fully aware, he was putting that on the list as well.
Yeah, they've been there a
This.
while, so some are rotting away. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Lee Weisenberger, 99 JFK Drive. Just again on the tree issue, the 125,000. Can we go in a little more detail with that? Is there bids going to go out again?
Well, we have to first have the second reading. After the second reading,
The bids actually
Oh,
were
the bid's done?
advertised.
It's drafted, okay.
The bids have been advertised, they were sent
Oh,
to the paper
advertised,
last
okay.
week, I believe they were in today's paper. So hopefully we'll get some plan requesters. Our bid opening is scheduled for October 24th,
October 24th, okay.
I believe. So at that point, we'll hopefully get some bids in to evaluate them. Obviously, the passing of the ordinance will be contingent on our award.
Right.
So is there a preliminary guess of how many trees that'll do? Or
Not
how's
unless
that
we
working with the
get
bids?
the bids.
What's the bid for?
It's a time and materials bid, so it's actually, instead of going by the tree list, we did it by time and materials, so it's based on the hours worked and the equipment utilized during those times to get them out.
Okay. Back to the radio issue, just out of curiosity. The company, the vendor, is this a known vendor?
Yeah.
Does he work in North Brunswick? Does he work in East Brunswick?
Yeah, it's Tactical, I believe is the name of the vendor, Tactical.
Okay.
It's people that we've been buying through for a while, and I believe the county has utilized the old radio system. They've hence switched over, which is, when they kind of make the switch over from an old system to a new, it's typically because they see the light that things are going to run out and there's not going to be availability. So they switch before it's too late.
Well,
They've started making that switch, which is why.
The point I'm getting at is, like I said, we're a small town, 2 square miles. If we're having a problem just with radios in that distance with whoever we've been using, whatever's going on. Like I said, East Brunswick, North Brunswick, don't have any problems with radios?
Well, East Brunswick and North Brunswick have kept up with their radios.
Right.
Where we haven't, because you can't even get parts for our radios.
But
You can't get parts for the antennas.
I
and if you-
understand.
That breaks down, you can't fix it now.
I'm just to the point, though, that if these radios don't work, that they don't have the coverage. How is the contract written? We don't pay, we pay 50% up front, and then, you know, see ya, get somebody else. I'm just wondering if there's any backup to this.
There's always a backup. There's always guarantees, there's always, how long is service guarantee for, how long is what? These are also, they service the radios, and it's kept in a period of time. I can't tell you what that time is. I have not read the entire contract. I know it goes out to bid. Maybe Randy knows more about that, the bidding process.
It'll be a state contract.
It'll be a state contract. And that's the people that, like Richie said, that the county uses and surrounding towns use.
So there shouldn't be a problem, that's all I'm hoping.
Should it be a problem? Absolutely not. Can I guarantee that? Of course not. But I will tell you this, the radios that we have, if they can't be fixed, have to be replaced.
No, I understand
Just
that.
have to be.
That's not a problem.
That has to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Let's replace them, maintain them, and we did with the ones we have up until there's just used their life.
Okay, fine. I might have missed a meeting or two, I don't know, but marijuana issue? Has anything come up on that, where we stand?
We passed a resolution earlier this year regarding it, about not supporting the legalization of it.
Okay, not support.
Not supporting.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was back in May or June?
I think it was actually earlier than that.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
earlier in the spring we
It
did.
was early spring.
Yeah, I think Councilwoman Mayor did some
Had it done.
extensive work
Right,
on that.
right. So we sent the letter to the state and we passed a resolution
Oh,
that we
okay,
do
fine.
not support.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Council comment.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you to the Milltown Revitalization Committee for putting together the Milltown Day. I was assisting with them. I want to thank the Utility Department for the electricity, Department of Public Works, of course, for their assistance throughout the day and setup and breakdown. In addition, we want to thank all of our sponsors. Our diamond sponsor was Bell and Stockton. Of course, CME Associates was the gold sponsor. And we had several bronze sponsors, Craybill Home for Funerals, Bronson and Guthline, Ice Cream Depot, Milltown Ice Cream Depot, and several others. Also, the Masons gave a contribution, so I thought it was really nice. And some new businesses also provided sponsorship. And we also want to thank all the vendors who attended and our departments that volunteered that day. They had a great time. It was a great event, and a lot of people pulled us aside, the committee members, to thank us for putting this together. They really appreciated it, and I did get several emails afterwards as well. So I just wanted to make sure everyone, I said, I appreciate their efforts, and I thank you for everyone for attending as well.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I know that Councilwoman Kerber is probably following orders from our Public Works Supervisor, but we really owe Ralph Jesnowski a bit of thanks for that brand-new building behind the senior center to house the electronic waste and the leaf bags. He went above and beyond, zero cost to the borough. I know he doesn't like the kudos, and I'm sure Dorian is just honoring his wishes, but I think it needs to be out there that we need to thank Ralph for that. The other thing is, Dorian brought up Milltown Day. It was a very nice day. I appreciated all the work that was done. I know I'm not going to get everybody's name in the revitalization committee down, but special thanks to Rosie Schultz and to Councilwoman Dorian Kerber, who were running back and forth the entire day just to make that day enjoyable for all our Milltown residents. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Actually, while we're at it, I'd actually like to thank Don Herman. As many of you know, we've been really shorthanded in our utility department lately, and especially over the past couple weeks, and Don's really stepped up and done a great job, and I think he deserves a little public accolade for the hard work and the efforts that he's put in and keeping us moving forward. So Don, thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, close council comments, mayor comments. Two quick mayor comments. I'd like to thank the entire council for two things. Number one, to all agree to participate in the upcoming strategic planning seminars that Councilwoman Mayor is going to be putting together with other members of the council and getting the community involved into making the plans for what the future of Milltown is going to be. I'd just like to say that this is really important, folks. It's very important that you participate, because sometimes when you're up here working and trying to serve, it becomes a little bit of a vacuum, okay? A lot of times you don't get a lot of input from you folks at home. And in order for us to plan and do the things that we need this community to do and to be, we have to hear from you. So please, when these meetings come up, and I know the councilwoman will make sure that everyone gets to hear when these are going to be, please come down and participate, please, I beg you. I know we're going to have the council people and our professionals involved in it also, but it all comes from you. So please wait for that. And on a final note, again, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the entire council for funding tree removal. This is huge. This is huge. This is something that the council's been working on for years. Not just council people, again, but our utility department, public works department, a lot of gnashing of teeth, tearing of clothes, et cetera, but we're finally starting to get moving on it. So there's a little relief coming, thanks to these folks that are sitting up here. With that, I'll close mayor comments, and I'll accept the motion for adjournment.
So be it.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Dixon, second by Councilwoman Kerber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Good night.
Oh.